Hello and welcome to All the Pies. My name's Si, that is Kev, and this is the preview of Newcastle United's away trip this Saturday to Villa Park to pay our deadliest rivals a visit. Ooh, what's going to happen? Ooh, at the Vinapet.
God, he scored so many goals.
All right.
All right. How are you doing?
All right. All right, ready for the big derby? Big derby on Sunday?
The big derby, aye. We're biggest rivals, sub on the
You'd think it,
time
wouldn't
and
you?
all that.
The way I'm not even just going to blame Villa fans because Newcastle fans as well, doing it. It's like, what is this? One knacker once put a flag up saying "sub on the time," and now we've got this biggest historical rivalry.
Well,
I like Brummies as well. Like I know it's a Brummie mates like that. I don't mind them, but
I think it goes a little bit further back than that as well, doesn't it? From the first time we got relegated.
that was it. Sub on the time, the relegation thing.
Well, they did that flag later on. They did that flag later on. It was when we played Aston Villa was the game we got relegated. If you remember, it was a Damien Duff own goal. We played them, and that was a game that sent it down. So I think that's where it kind of starts from. But
right. I mean,
how are you, anyways?
It's fun to like. I put a few tweets out just to see if I went fishing. God, you get some right bites, like so.
It's not like you to do anything like that on social media, Si.
Villa fans who actually watch the channel, if there is any, I really don't mind. I don't think there's any rivalry, but some of your fan base, as well as ours, are not the cleverest. But anyway, we're looking forward to that. So, what you been up to?
Not much. Had a nice Easter.
You went
for
to see some football. You want to have a mention?
I did. I saw an absolutely belter game on Easter Monday. It was the cup final for the Northern Alliance League. I think it was the Conway Cup, the cup final. It was an absolutely mint game. It was Aston Reserves versus Hazelrig FC. Player you can see there, Scott Stewart, is actually my girlfriend's brother. He was playing on the left-hand side. He actually got a really nasty tackle within the first 20 minutes, sprained his ankle, but played on the rest of the first half of a sprained ankle. Was looking dangerous, but at half-time it was 3-0 to 3-0 to Aston Reserves. The game looked dead and buried, probably against the run of play a bit, I would have said. I mean, they probably slightly deserved the lead at half-time, but it didn't tell the story of the half. Second half, totally different story. So there was, first of all, there was a goal by Ben Noble. First one was an own goal from a corner. Ben Noble, he could put the second in, made it 3-2. Then we had Lewis Richardson, who looked a mile offside for me, putting a header in to make it 3-3 going into the last 5 minutes. Then in the 93rd minute, you had Lee Richardson popping up with the winner. Absolute scenes. But yeah, an absolutely mint game of football. So shout out to Hazelrig and congratulations to them. And also shout out to Aston Reserves as well because they made it a good game.
Grassroots football, I've been wanting to do more of that myself, just fucking with time and whatnot.
No, it's good. I think it's important because, especially locally as well, there's a lot of teams I like. I wouldn't say I had a local team that are out and out support. I like watching Whitley Bay. I like watching North Shields, even South Shields to a slightly lesser extent. But yeah, in newly found fan Hazelrig have in me because I really enjoyed it.
Well, there you go. Happy days. So that was your Easter. Well, I went out Easter Sunday for my lovely meal. Then I decided I'd have a pint or two. And I decided I'd pop and see Gaz, the sportsman, see Nicky, have a few more pints. And then my cousin rang, who's 10 years younger than us. Coming out on the sesh? No. I get back home, have a couple of beers in the house. You're not coming on the sesh? Aye. Got back in at 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning.
Monday morning. I'm still recovering.
Si, you're getting way too old for it, man.
I've been way too old for it for way too long, Kevin. I'm far too old for it. But yeah.
Our party days were really hard, but should be behind with now. I think if I go out, I'm really lucky if I get past 1 a.m. But normally it's about 10 o'clock. We cut off time.
Yeah, well, I made it to 5. Let's just say I regret certain decisions I made. Yeah, right. We'll move into the football in just a second. I want to say shout out everyone who subscribed. Everyone on Twitter who's been showing love. At the time of recording this, we are on 599 subscribers.
Ooh.
One away from 600. I did notice we lost one subscriber after the last video, and I'm wondering it's because I was talking about gingers all the time. So I might have to not have a go at gingers, because if you notice, I have dyed the ginger out in my beard. It's gone. But it was when we were talking about gingers. So I wonder if there's like one little disgruntled orangeman. So went not subscribing to that, unsubscribed, and went off in like the blistering April heat, and then burnt into like sulfur and ash. Anyway, are you ready, Kev?
No, not yet.
Are you ready? Fucking are you ready?
Okay, let's go.
We're fucking in, lad. Right, this is the preview of the Villa game this Sunday. Now let's get this shit back up on the screen. Right, there we go.
Smooth as
guide.
usual.
Form guide, as we see, for Newcastle, as it has been. A sea of green. Villa also sea of green. But I don't want to say that we're favourites, even though I think we are favourites. I will say that obviously they played Forest at home. You would think that would be winnable. Leicester away, they only got the second goal once. Who was it got sent off again? Dewsbury Hall's got sent off. They got a late goal to make it 2-1. They were drawn at Leicester. 2-0 Chelsea. What do you call them? Who you just been talking about? Hazelrig could beat Chelsea at the moment.
I think they did 4-3.
Yeah, 3-0 Bournemouth, and then 1-1 away to West Ham. Obviously, you know what happened when we played West Ham away. And yeah, on the form, what's your opinions on the form?
Well, to be fair, Si, you can only beat what's in front of you. You know, if
I'm not having a go at them. I'm just saying on the form tables, I think
I don't mean you having a go at them. Have a go at them if you want. I don't care.
Oh, please, no, I don't want to. I hate off Villa fans, honestly.
It's not like we've got a rivalry or anything. No, to be honest, two teams really in good form. When I first looked at this run of 3 away games, if I'm being honest, I probably found Brentford probably the most worrying. I've changed my mind a little bit.
Villa.
Well, that's what I feel now.
I always thought Villa would be the trickiest of the three.
Yeah, I mean, based on form, you're looking at two of the most informed teams in the league. You know, it's going to be a very difficult game. I believe it's not going to be a rout like we had at West Ham. I don't think they'll put in as bad of a performance as Manchester United did against Were. You might see a similar game to what we saw at Nottingham Forest, actually.
Maybe. Oh, Brentford. So looking at they're in 6th place in the European spots. We're in 3rd, obviously, in Champions League spots. This season so far, they've won 14. We've won 15. They've only drawn 5, whereas we've drawn 11. But they've lost 11, whereas we've only lost 3.
Yeah, and you look at the average goals scored per match, not a million miles away from each other. However, the goals conceded per match, although it doesn't look like a mile away, it is a big difference when you look at how many goals we've actually conceded in 21 goals in all the matches that we've played so far. I think it's going to be difficult for them to break us down in a way where they'll rout it. I think everything's kind of lining up to a close game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I didn't even notice this. They've only had 3 less clean sheets than us.
Yeah,
it's the chances created, and obviously we create more chances. Yeah.
I mean, if you're just going on form, it would probably scream out a draw, wouldn't it? Anybody who was in neutral and was putting a bet on, I was looking at this match on their accumulator, would probably look at it and say, that's possibly going to be a draw. and not a million miles away. I think we're probably slight favourites. I mean, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, we would have been very much the favourites. But yeah, with their recent run of form, there's not much between the two, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, the last 3 games we've played in the league at Villa Park, we've lost 2-0 each time. But I will say that was before Eddie Howe.
Every time we you have to keep saying that as well. Every time we sort of look at past results, you always have to come with that same caveat of that was a different Newcastle United, and it doesn't matter who the team is. It's almost like the history books were scrapped and it all restarted again. All records restarted again for Newcastle United post takeover, because you can't take any of that into account when looking at our current team. It just doesn't matter.
So that was pre-Howe, and then post-Howe, we've played them twice. We've beat them twice.
Convincingly the last time.
Yeah.
Convincingly the last time. What a great game it was.
Have a look at that now. The head-to-heads it was 4-0.
It was 4-0.
It was at home, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were pretty much good for it, really. They had a couple of chances. But yeah, if I remember rightly, there was a penalty. Didn't Wilson score the penalty? Also scored a header. There was a
goal, I think.
Yeah, from a rebound in a perler from Miggy Almiron.
That was when he was banging form.
Am I right in saying that was our last game before the World Cup as well?
What date was it? No, 29th of October. Nah.
Was it not? I'm sure it was. Was it not November? Was it our last home game before the World Cup?
Maybe like,
because that was Southgate was at that game, wasn't he? And having a really good look at Wilson, and he scored those 2 goals. And I remember thinking that's the game that will get him on the plane, which it did. But also, when we played them, we were in a very similar run to what we're on now. So that October leading into November period was one of our hottest streaks, and they played us at a really bad time. Now you look. We're now also on a really hot streak, and they're playing at a really bad time again. Is that an omen? Possibly. So could that sort of be part of the preparation talks from Eddie Howe? Look, the last time we played them, we won this run of form. We absolutely trounced them. I don't think it'll be 4-0 by any means, but I think they'll certainly mention it to them.
Well, I think you mentioned before, I don't think it's going to be a rout either way. I very much doubt. And I think that's due to both managerial recruitments of recent in Howe and in Emery. A little stat that I stole from a Villa channel that I was watching earlier. Emery has won every game he's ever played against Howe. 3 games, and both fixtures were Bournemouth, Arsenal. So,
well, you can't really read too much into that, can you?
You can't.
You would imagine you would, yeah. If Eddie Howe had been managing Arsenal and Unai Emery had been managing Bournemouth, you could have probably switched that around. But yeah, Unai Emery was one of the managers we probably would have got the job before Howe if he hadn't turned it down. Let's be honest, they went in for Unai Emery, Newcastle United. Didn't fancy it. Didn't fancy the project. Eddie Howe came in, and yeah, I think we got the better deal. To be honest with you,
looking back, we got the better deal. Yeah, definitely, without question. Although I've got to give kudos to Emery for the job he's doing at Villa. If they didn't have Gerrard at the start of the season, maybe they would be in a different position altogether. You know what I mean? They could be. Don't know where they could be really.
I mean, look,
they've got a bit of financial clout as well, haven't they? They're not
he's doing a bit of an Eddie Howe, isn't he? Players that weren't necessarily the star signings, he's getting quite a tune out of them, isn't he? Which is very much an Eddie Howe trait.
Moving into talking a bit about Villa. Obviously, Watkins, as we know, is on form, on fire, and scoring goals.
Scoring different types of goals as well. Not just tap-ins.
And getting assists, yeah.
Getting assists. He's scoring tap-ins. He's scoring lobs. He's scoring powerful shots. He's He's found himself massively in games, which was the complete opposite of the Ollie Watkins that played against us in St James's Park. I remember watching a little bit of the fallout from some of the Villa channels actually after that game, and he come under a bit of fire. So yeah, that's obviously down to the manager, isn't it? He's getting a tune out of him. There's another player I want to mention as well is what's his face again? I can't. What his name's just gone out of my head. Let me get it back up.
Louis
McGinn. Yeah,
McGinn.
I want to talk about McGinn. Yeah. Scottish midfielder who kind of went under the radar for a bit, but over the last few games has probably been one of their best players, and scored that really nice goal against Chelsea, the second goal to finish them off, and sort of adds a little bit of a different, threat, I think, on the right hand side. Whereas he likes to cut inside a little bit more, which will be interesting to see how Byrne deals with that, rather than trying to stop the crosses. He does like to cut inside a little bit more, and is very dangerous in the final third as well. So that's somebody else we're really going to have to keep an eye on.
So that would be the two to watch for Newcastle. That would be the two that would maybe break through is Watkins and McGinn.
And obviously Dougie Louise.
Yeah.
Dougie Louise, he's I would probably say he's their best player. In an attacking sense, he does get himself about occasionally. He's more in the engine room. He's very solid in the middle. It's going to be really interesting to see the three Brazilians all going at it in the middle of the park, because Douglas Luiz will definitely be playing, and I'm pretty confident that you'll see him up against probably Bruno Guimaraes. So that will be a really, really interesting battle to watch, because two high quality players and both Brazilians.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on. Our team now. We'll move on to looking at Newcastle. Before we do that, we are not a big enough channel to get a sponsor as of yet. We've just started. But what I'd like to do, something a little bit different, is I'd like to give shout outs to small businesses where they don't have to pay for sponsorship. So, something different to having a normal ad. And first one here, so our mate Gaz. You hear us mention Gaz a lot on the channel, and he does something to do with houses. I don't know. No, he just property
bridges.
I built the Tyne Bridge. So if you need a Tyne Bridge built, you do one for you for like probably a tenner. If he's got a Sai sent you, Sai and Kev sent you. Well, there
with
he is.
Bare hands, no less, wasn't it?
There's his little face where he's I think that might be a snide Ralph Lauren top. Just he looks like a proper Simon Jordan kind of look. He's got the island going on, the hairdo. You can't actually see, but his feet finish about here. He's quite a short young man. But no, give him a shout. He gives you loads. You can download this for free. Property investment pack. He's not going to scam you. He's a good, honest, hard-working lad. New business, helping out people who want to get into property, rent out the houses, renovations, all the stuff that I don't understand, all the grown-up things. He does that. It's GazabalaPropertySolutions.com. I'll put a link in the description. Go show him some love. Find him on socials. And yeah, if you think of any of their businesses that want a little mention on our channel, feel free to get in touch via YouTube or socials. Right. Newcastle.
Before we move on, put that back up. Do you not think he looks like a young up-and-coming manager on that particular one?
Let's have a look.
It's just where he's got his arms crossed and he's...
Yeah, he could.
He does, doesn't he? He looks like a manager, and I don't know which one it is. Could it be the Fulham manager?
No, I think he'd manage a Portuguese pub team. Like, come on, man, Federico, you're doing fuck all, man. He just look like he'd have that kind of.
Would he? Yeah, you would. It looks like he would smoke on the sidelines as well.
Yeah, he'd smoke on the side. He would swear.
Swear, aye, and send the ladies wild.
Yeah, he would always act disgruntled, but like in a sexy way.
Yeah, and coy in his interview.
Yeah, cool. Right, Newcastle news. Devastating news today that Maxi is going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So that is a blow, is it not?
It is a blow. Of course, it's a blow. What looked as though it was going to be a really slight one. They said, "Oh, we did a scan. It looked like a really small tear in the hamstring." Obviously wasn't. Sack the scannist. Scanners.
Well, we know this because he was spotted yesterday in France, so we knew that he certainly wouldn't be involved. And then it came out today that he's out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's a massive shame because he was hitting some really nice form. It took him a little while to find his straps again when he came back from the last injury.
Mm-hmm.
I will allowed to say it. Is he getting a bit injury prone?
He always has been, really.
Yeah, he seems to be having. I would be interested to know if it was the same hamstring injury that he's sort of worked up again, or is this something completely new? Does Eddie have to have a little look at the training regime? Does he need to sort of, well, what can you do? What can you really do? It's annoying because I'm not having to go to him. If somebody's got an injury, they've got an injury. It's annoying because he was, like I say, he was just starting to find some really good form again, and it was really adding to the depth in the squad. Now with depth is starting to look a little bit thin again, right on the business end of the league. So I'm gutted that he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Gutted.
Yeah. Well, you say that. Someone who's been spotted in full training this week is Miggy Almiron. So I very much doubt he'll feature at all this Saturday, but he has been training.
Well, that's good news. That is good news because he's been a bit of a miss. Not only just in his great runs from the right hand side, whether it's coming on a sub or whether it is starting the game and linking up with Trippier, but I've also missed his happy little smile.
Yeah,
his happy little smile. What you're losing his smile though, you're getting shithousery from Murphy. So
yeah, I have missed some of his worldies. I've got to say, I've missed the quality of Miggy's goals. So hopefully he can be involved, fully fit to feature in some way for the Spurs game, which, dependent on this result, could be an actual 6-pointer.
Well, I think irrelevant of this result will be an actual 6-pointer. I would like the 3 points going into that game, because that would really put the pressure on Tottenham Hotspur, really put it on them. And if we win against Aston Villa, and then looking a little bit ahead, and we do a number on Tottenham Hotspur, I can't see how they can catch us then.
No.
In the driving seat, pole position.
Well, I'm more hesitant about the Villa game than I am the Spurs game. Much more nervous about Villa than I am Spurs.
I'm equally nervous about both of them because I think Villa's going to give a harder game than Spurs, but there's more riding on the Spurs game. And the last time we had something really riding on a game, we'll let the occasion get the better of us slightly. But I think it'll be a different story at St James's Park. But let's keep going with Villa.
Yeah. So, well, as far as I can see, from what I've read, there's no other injuries. The only thing maybe we should mention is I don't even want to call it an incident, the Gordon petulance. It's so much has been made out of this Gordon coming off and having feeling a bit hard done by that he's been took off and pulled himself away from Eddie Howe. I mean, that kind of shit used to happen week in, week out, didn't it? Before everything was overanalyzed. I'm sure I used to see shit like that going on in the 90s all the time. Worse shit than that. I remember seeing stuff kicking off in the tunnels, like people actually, managers having to hold the players and all that. Dressing rooms where managers would have the player against the wall. And now what? He's pushed his arm away. And now it's, oh my God, what a monster this scouse animal is. Like, fucking hell. Give it a rest,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I asked you a question after the game. I said, was it passion or petulance? And you said probably a little bit of both. And I think you were right. But yeah, they're making a right mountain of a molehill now. Richie put his arm around him, had a word with him. There's nobody else has got a problem. Move on.
Smiling the team photo straight after. I know you can't gauge much from a photo, but I mean, I thought Eddie Howe press conference was the date, must be tomorrow. I'm sure the media will bring it up because they always do. And I'm sure Eddie Howe will just refer them back to what he said at the time, which was he needs to maybe control his emotions, but no problems as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure he'll just reiterate that exact point. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And let's not add fuel to the fire. Let's not spoil the apple cart. It happened. Everybody saw it.
Yeah.
Like you said, like he agreed. It was a bit petulant, but he was being passionate. Sometimes if you take that out of a player, they become a bit shit. You know what I mean? You want that little bit of fire in the belly. It shows that he wants to stay on the pitch and he wants to play for Newcastle United.
Yeah,
He
we've
wants to
certainly
play
had
every single.
many a fiery player for Newcastle over the years who've been fan favourites, and yeah,
and he wants to play every single second on the pitch. And so, well, I've got no problem with that. That's could he have reacted a little bit differently? Possibly, but he didn't. So what? It wasn't like it wasn't like he was swearing or going anything like that. You could just say he was a bit upset. So what? I like to see players upset sometimes when they really want to play for the team. It just shows that there is a bit of passion there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure like Trippier or the Cells or even like fucking Tyndall would have said, "Look, don't do that again, eh? You're a kid. Just listen to what the gaffer tells you." And you go, "All right, sorry, that would have been it." I can't imagine it would have been any more than that. The only concern, not to do with that, is that his fiery temper in this modern game is that he's going to pick up a red card at some point, and that would be the only concern, is if that happens on the pitch with the opposition players.
Oh yeah, and you'll probably get opposition players who'll probably try and target them, but you can use that as fuel, can't you? You can use that as fuel. You can use that to, if you know a player's going to target you and going to try and wind you up. If anything, it's a bit of a compliment, because that means they want you out of the game and they see you as a bit of a threat. What Eddie Howe needs to do is instead of saying, right, don't snap at them. Don't go in rash on any challenges if somebody's trying to wind you up. Punish them by taking the ball through the legs, putting a cross in, or putting a screamer in the top corner. It's the best way you can silence your critics.
Definitely. He is still young. You've got to remember, he's very, very young player. I know he's had a bit of Premier League experience with Everton, but he is still young in footballing terms.
And I've got no doubt he'll go on to be a great player for Newcastle. No doubt in my mind whatsoever.
I don't know. Like I was on the fence about the whole signing. I'm still not 100% convinced about the whole signing and the fee, but I am willing to give him definite benefit of his doubt. And what I don't like is, and I understand it's the modern age and people want to get clicks from clickbaiting titles about Anthony Gordon having fallouts, but I guess I'm just like old fashioned that way. I think, fucking pack it in, man.
Yeah, that's what
it is. And again, who knows? Carefully on the season, we could be doing massive clickbait titles on ours just to get that sweet ad revenue.
Fan trouble after the game.
I'm a self-proclaimed hypocrite, so
That's it. Right, big kickoffs after the match the other day. One fan going, "We've got Bruno in the middle."
Definitely. Right, moving on. Predicted lineups. I'm gonna as I always do, boringly, say the same back five, because I just can't see any changes being made.
Before you quickly move on from that, Eddie Howe pretty much said that, didn't he? When he was talking about Matt Target. It was
the last presser.
And he said he's unlucky because he's a good player, but one of the areas I don't like to really change about much is the back four, and because they're having such a strong season, he's going to find it difficult. So he's pretty much said it himself, hasn't he? And I don't think it's any big sort of thing that he needs to hide from the oppositions or anything like that. Any manager worth the salt knows he's going to just play the back four if they're available now.
Yeah. And obviously, with Maxi being out, I think my lineup is Willock, Bruno, Longstaff, stay in the middle. J7 out, 4 wide. Now this is, I think maybe I think he's going to stick with Murphy. He might put Gordon in. That is the one I'm in two minds about.
Well, give us both. What's yours and what do you think Howe's will be?
Mine, I would start Gordon. I would give him a start, but I think he's going to stick with Murphy because stat fans, we have never lost a game this season while Jacob Murphy's been playing. So. Yeah, I think he will stick with Murphy. He will stick with him. But I would give Gordon a shot because Murphy didn't look tremendous against Brentford. Neither did Longstaff. But I think he will stick with the same team, and I think he'll stick starting Isak up front. Even though I would love to see Isak and Wilson on for a full 90 together. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think it's going to be pretty much exactly as it was. And I think maybe the same changes will be made if needed. That's my opinions. What's yours?
Well, I agree. I think they'll start with the same team that they started with against Brentford. I think they will pick exactly the same team. However, I'm going to go on the team I would pick. I'm going to get slated for this, and maybe it's a little bit more of a bit of fun, but I would just love to see this. Probably the bad timing to experiment like this. But if I was playing a sort of fantasy football, I'd have the same back five. I'd like to see in the middle. I'd like to see Willock and Willock and Bruno Guimaraes. I'd like to see Joe Linton out wide. I'd like to see Anthony Gordon on the other side. Isaac and Wilson up front.
Yeah,
that's what I would like to see. Got no chance of happening, and I'm not under any. I just think that would be what a fun lineup that would be. What a fun lineup that would be to start a game.
That was the second half. Brentford, and if you noticed, Willock and Joe Linton kind of kept interchanging, and Wilson and Isak were moving sides as well. It was lovely. It was lovely and beautiful to watch. But
I think
the only thing with that is, if that's not going well, what do you then do?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that was more of a little bit. I don't want to say roll of the dice, but kind of a roll of the dice. He realised that, with something drastic needed to change after the first half against Brentford. So, we kind of had nothing to lose, because if we'd stuck it the same way, it probably would have ended up about 2-0 Brentford. So would it, like you say, if you did that from the beginning of the match, and it wasn't going well, you're probably more open to concede more goals, because we saw towards the end of the Brentford game, they did come back into it a bit as well, and it did leave a little bit more open in the middle. However, what fun it is when all them attackers are on that field going forward, cutting teams open and scoring beautiful goals. But
it's just such a shame that Maxie's out, but obviously it's a boost that Miggy's coming back. So one attacker's getting fit in ones now, needs to go on the mend. So score predictions.
Before we move on to score predictions, there was a little bit of other news I wanted your opinion on, because I haven't had a chat about it. It's been widely said that Newcastle United have made contact for Declan Rice.
I tweeted about that last night. Yeah,
did you?
Would love to see it. Would love to see it.
Aye, so people are saying somewhere in the region of 80 million. I don't know how long he's got on his contract. I'm guessing.
I don't know, because then Bellingham's 130. I mean, it would be nice to just, if we're going to pay 80, go in the race.
Jude Bellingham is his issue. You go into any team, but he's going to cost that team a hell of a lot of money. I think he could only realistically go to a Paris Saint-Germain, a Real Madrid or a Man City. I think they're realistically the three teams. I know that sounds stupid, because we're the richest club in the world and we're richer than those three teams put together. But we're just not in a financial place to do that, and it would be silly. I'd love it, you know what I mean? It's like wet dream stuff. Aye. Like I would probably cry, and I'd be pushing the youngins out the way to be at the front of the picture when it's unveiled at St James's Park. But I don't think we're there yet. We're not there yet. We don't really. The financial crowd.
His mom and dad dictate a lot as well about where he goes. They dictate a lot in his life. But imagine for just a little bit more than a Jude Bellingham, right? Maybe I don't know, an extra 30, 40 million more. So you could get like a Rice, Madison, and Diaby. Now that would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
Aye,
that would be beautiful.
It would be. It would be absolutely beautiful. And then if you were really pushing the boat out and you wanted to really bolster the attack, one of my favourite players, Osimhen. We're playing fantasy football here, aren't we? We're getting carried away with ourselves, but why not? Why not?
I don't think Diaby, Rice, and Madison is fantasy football. When you're Champions League team and the richest in the world, I don't think it is fantasy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, Declan Rice is he's gonna be a very, very high wage, and he's probably going to be the highest paid player in the club if he does sign. And you're probably going to get one or two players knocking on the door saying, "Well, hang on a second, I want to be up around about there."
Yeah.
So it probably does open those floodgates, but that comes with the territory. That's always going to happen. That's going to happen sooner or later. I don't think you should let that put you off going for these types of players, because I know they've got a really strict wage structure in place. But once you're up there with the big boys, you have to, you have to readjust what it is that you're doing. And sometimes, if you want to compete at that level, the wage structure has to change a little bit.
And I'm almost certain it will. I know, of course it will. Champions League, of course it will. The wage structure will change, as will the level of the players we sign. No question. There's been
exciting stuff.
Joao Pedro as well. That's been resurfacing again.
Yeah, we were very close to signing him, weren't we? Was it in the summer or was it the January beforehand? I think it was the summer, wasn't it? Yeah, fell through at the last minute.
Yeah.
Not a bad player. Not
squad.
A bad player. Probably squad player.
Eddie Howe, Brazilian. Loads of other Brazilians there. Mates.
Oh, I wouldn't turn him away. And I must have had my crystal ball out again, because when I said it was when we were on with Mark, actually, in the View From video, we were talking about Scott McTominay, and I said, what do Manchester United rate him at? What are they rate him at to a fellow top 4 club? And what are the rate them at to a top 4 club that's the richest in the world? And I said they'll probably ask about 50 million, and you move on. They must have been watching. The Glazers must have been watching our videos, Simon, and went, actually, that's not a bad idea.
I have faith in Eddie Howe and his signings, and when he wants to bring in Scott McTominay at 50 million. Not for me, like.
Absolutely not. Not when Leicester are pretty much putting a 50 million price tag on Maddison.
I know.
There's no comparison in the two.
What is that value Longstaff at if McTominay is 50? Do you know what I mean?
The same.
Yeah.
The same. And in Longstaff's not a 50 million pound player. Let's be honest. He's a 30 probably at most, and that's not that's not dissing him or anything like that. 30 million pounds is a lot. It's a lot of fucking money at the end of the day. But that's probably his maximum.
Yeah, right. Kevin, score prediction. I am going to go 1-0 Newcastle. Isak.
Right. So, do you want me channel score, or do you want me what I actually think score?
What you think score? Obviously.
What I actually think score. 1-1.
1-1.
I've got a feeling it's going to be 1-1. My channel scores 2-1 to Newcastle. What I actually feel score is 1-1. I think it's going to be a really difficult game against a really good side with a really good manager. Completely different level to when we played them earlier in the year. I think it's going to be 1-1. I'm going to go for the man that I picked out, John McGinn, getting one, and not the striker that probably everybody else may think. And for us, I'm going to go for Bruno Guimaraes. There you go. I went for 2 midfielders to score.
Good. Well, that's a 1-0 and a 1-1. Leave your predictions in the comments. Leave them. What you think the score is going to be, who's going to score them. There will be a prize for the first person who gets the correct score and scorers. Hasn't happened yet. There will be. It'll be a wicked prize. More importantly, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share it round. But do keep interacting. Love how the channel's going. Your support's been fantastic, and we will be back on Saturday night probably with the review, because this game is a 12:30 kickoff live on BT Sports this Saturday. So cheers everyone, and we will see you again on Saturday. See you later.
Come on.